from Turner Sports, back here on the Rich Eisen Show, none other than Jim Jackson. How are you, sir?
Enjoying life, man. Enjoying these crazy playoffs. Crazy.
I know.
How are you, Rich?
I'm doing fine. Look, Jim, I'm fine unless somebody steps over me. And if somebody steps over me, it's on, you know. And just so you understand.
If somebody steps over you, what do you do?
Well, I just understand this, Jim. In this conversation, my foot's got to land somewhere. So
okay.
I'm just saying that. And you were awesome in that. You were awesome in that moment, Jim. You know, what were you thinking watching that go down?
What saw kind of the change because the camera panned right away where we were sitting.
Mm-hmm.
I saw where Sabonis grabbed, Draymond's leg, and then I saw Draymond step, but I didn't see how much more initiated into replay. But I knew it was something that was going on. But in the moment, you can tell it was something more than just Draymond tripping over Sabonis. That was an added incentive to stomp because Sabonis grabbed the leg. But it was a crazy situation, and Golden State was able to kind of figure out a way through it without having Draymond, especially going back home in the game.
Hey, Jim, if you don't mind, I'm going to have you put back on hold. Your phone's going in and out. Chris, if you wouldn't mind quality controlling this with Jim Jackson. I believe Jim Jackson's back on. You there, Jim?
I'm here.
Oh, please. It literally is, it's truly like you just took your foot and put it right on my stomach. It's great. So
I think there's your theme that you should run on throughout the playoffs right now.
Oh gosh, is there? But let's get to that moment first, since you were there, and then we'll get to last night in a moment. So when you saw what happened with Draymond, you thought what in first blush moment in that one, Jim?
That is going to be a flagrant one, flagrant two, just because of the stomp.
Right.
Now, everything that happened after that, of course, is up to debate. But I knew at the time, and because of Draymond, what had transpired in the past, that when they called it and went back and looked at it, I knew it was going to be a flagrant one and flagrant two immediately, just because of the emphasis when he stomped down. And I know a lot of people are like, where else is he supposed to put his foot? I get all that. But it's Draymond Green. So as much as he gets benefit of the doubt in regards to maybe being a little bit more demonstrative in his arguments with the officials and stuff like that, and that's a long line in regards to how they allow him to speak to them. But then there's the other side of it, too, which is the history part of what has happened with Draymond. That comes back to haunt him as well. So you can't have one without the other. And this time, the other was the suspension part that Adam Silver handed down based on, history of what happened in the arena and things like that.
And the Warriors took care of business last night. Game 4 can even this series. And I imagine when Draymond steps on the floor in Game 4 in San Francisco, there will be a thunderous ovation, and that'll be another emotional tide that the Kings will have to survive. How do you see this series playing out from here on out, Jim Jackson?
Well, I always thought that Golden State had the advantage from the championship experience. Now, they're not as deep as they were. Their margin of error, Rich, is not the same as it was in the past. And what I mean by that is that in the past, because they were so great defensively, and I thought their bench gave them a little bit more from a scoring punch, that they could overcome those turnovers. They've always been a high turnover team. Okay? Mm-hmm. But their margin of error was a lot bigger because of those intangibles I just talked about. Now you can't. It's tougher. They got a slim margin of error. So them turning the basketball over, in particular in Sacramento, defeats what they're trying to do offensively because they're not being able to get the kind of stops they need, in particular on the road, to win those games. So they can't turn the basketball over. So I thought going in that I still favored a higher-seeded Golden State because of the maturity and championship experience. And that's not a knock on Sacramento. It's just that I haven't seen them perform at this level against this team at this kind of on this kind of stage. Would I be surprised if Sacramento won? Heck no, I'm happy for Mike Brown. I love what they've done with that lineup and the roster. They streamlined it. They have guys that are low-maintenance guys. De'Aaron Fox is a low-maintenance superstar. Everybody buys in. But going into the series, quite honestly, I thought that Golden State could win that in 6 or 7.
Well, we are going to have to see them win on the road in a way that we are accustomed to seeing them on the road in the playoffs, winning games. 27 straight series with at least a road playoff win, a remarkable streak that may just come to an end, to be very honest with you, because they haven't really been able to play lockdown defense on the road since last year's finals, essentially. And, you know, Draymond being back would be no doubt a feather for them. But they're going to have to defend in Sacramento in a Game 5 and presumably, one would think, a Game 7. And I don't know. I'd be concerned for them.
Here's the thing. Think about this. The first 2 games, they were right there.
They were?
They were a 10-point lead in Game 1. Okay? What Steve Kerr really wants them to do, more so than not in particular on the road, is this. Attack the basket a lot more. Remember, Golden State was, you know, we fell in love and got enamored with them shooting 3-point shots. But remember all the layups they used to get? Backdoor cuts and all the easy baskets because you had to guard the perimeter? Well, Steve Kerr really wants his team to, one, especially on the road, shot selection is the key because those long, quick shots lead to fast breaks for Sacramento, okay? Your defense is not set, so your defense is going to be compromised. So better shot selection, be a little bit more patient. Second, attack the paint. By attacking the paint, you slow down the pace a little bit more, you score the basketball, now Sacramento can't get out and run. Those little things right there help your defense, okay? So if you are deficient in one area defensively, your offense can be your best friend in regards to protecting and hiding that a little bit and insulating you from those opportunities where Golden State where Sacramento can take care of it. That's the key for me because they're not all of a sudden become better defensively. They can, but their offense really has to, I think, tighten up a little bit on the road in Sacramento in order to get a W.
Jim Jackson, NBA on TNT, game analyst, 14-year NBA veteran right here on the Rich Eisen Show. All right, let's get to some of the other headlines that we've seen in these playoffs. Let's start with the last night of it all. Harden shouldn't have gotten ejected for that.
No,
right?
No,
what happened?
No,
what's happening then? What's happening then? What is going on?
I don't know. I was sitting there watching the game. Had a nice cigar with me too, by the way.
Nice.
While watching the game, and I saw flagrant one. He pushed. Now, did James Harden intend to hit him in the groin? No. James Harden uses that move a lot of time to push off and to create the space to move. It just so happened he got hit lower. Okay, you penalized him for hitting him lower. Fine. Move on. Flagrant 1. That right there in the flagrant 2, I was blown away on that call.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the argument that a lot of players and coaches have in regards to the inconsistencies in the calling. Because depending on the official's crew, it may go one way or another. Like, you don't know what a flagrant 1 is or a flagrant 2, from game to game because the officiating crew may view things a little bit differently. And that's where the confusion comes in, especially like last night. What do you think?
I thought first of all, why are we ejecting players like in the NBA playoffs like that? I don't know. Draymond's stomp, I can see. I don't understand the 1-game suspension after it as well. But
wait. Let me say this: Adam Silver in the stands, and he's yelling all kind of obscenities to the fans.
Yes.
While he's there. Okay. So, and to remember on his podcast last year, and I love Draymond. I covered him since he was a freshman at Michigan State. Mm-hmm. This is my guy. But there's consequences to your action. Remember last year he said on his podcast about the officials, they don't come to see you, they come to see us. I can do what I want. I won't get kicked out the game. So all of these things go into that decision-making. So I just wanted to digress.
All right. No, and I appreciate you doing that. Okay. So that's what I thought. And I just thought to myself, this is getting a little out of control. Certainly when you start to review it and then you come back and I thought, okay, they'll keep him in the game. And then they don't. It is really weird. There's just no other way to put it. And I'm just thankful for the Sixers that they got through anyway. They're 3-0, and it looks like they and the Celtics will sweep, and we'll get the playoff series that we're all anxious to see with both teams having full complement of rest. That's the way it looks to me. So
that one, and I think Boston was 3-1 against the Sixers during the course of the year, and we had the game there. I think it was Boston at Philly, a few weeks ago. And that's the tough thing about the Sixers from this perspective is the matchups with Boston, because Boston is just so deep. I thought one of the things that got taken away from Joel Embiid was a J.J. Redick type player. And what I mean by that, Rich, is that a guy, when he comes off of a downstream by Joel, you have to stick with him and honor that, because he's a shooter. If he's initiating the pass to Embiid on the post or mid-post, you got to stay at home. You can't help. They really don't have that type of player, that knockdown shooter or a guy that can come off of screens. And I think that took away from the two-man game, downstream, switching opportunities that type of player can bring to the table for Philly that makes them more effective offensively.
Jim Jackson, NBA on TNT, game analyst here on the Rich Eisen Show, getting set. If I'm not mistaken, you're doing Hawks-Celtics on Sunday, right? That's your next game? Your next gig?
We're doing that on Sunday.
Okay.
So first round, we bounce around the different series just because of the way the TV contracts are set up.
I hear you.
ESPN, ABC, and all that.
What'd you make of the Kawhi news last night, 4 hours before tip, that he's out? I mean, unbelievable. Talk about a game changer, a series changer. Jim.
Yes. Well, I cover him during the course of the year. So having more of an intimate insight into what goes on, I mean, I was thoroughly surprised, but I knew that he had been playing with that injury since game one. It's just so happened that it swole up after, second game. And unfortunately, it is what it is. And Ty is my guy, Ty Lue. We played together with the Rockets, and, of course, I cover him, and he's a good friend. And it's only so much you can do to manipulate your lineups and your rosters to be competitive. They were very competitive, last night. For him to be able to get his guys to be over 500 on the road, to be where they're at to compete, it's just been a phenomenal job. But at some point, this, Rich, you can only ask so much of the roster that you have, and you can only pull out so much, in particular against a tough, talented Phoenix Suns team. And at some point it comes to an head, and then when you lose to Paul George and now Kawhi Leonard, it's just a tough task moving forward against a tough Phoenix team.
So, Phoenix is going to advance, right? If Kawhi needs to be load managed or is out every now and then, I don't know how they pull this off, quite frankly, despite the performance we saw from them last night.
Yeah.
Okay. And one last one for you, because it sounds like your hotel phone is running out of battery. I'm not going to lie. I hear the beeps, Jim.
You can hear it?
I can hear it. It's all good.
Okay.
So, what'd you make of Dillon Brooks calling LeBron old? What'd you think of that?
I mean, it's what I said about Memphis is this: talented young group, exciting for the league. But they're still seeking their basketball maturity, not from a human perspective, basketball perspective, because they're young, they're brash, they're bold, but they really haven't won anything yet. And this is the way you talk about it. And Dillon Brooks is kind of taking on the role of being the villain. But you got to understand something. Poking the bear, LeBron is not that kind of guy. He's not like Mike or Kobe. I mean, those two guys, you say that to them, it's over. LeBron is going to beat you in a different way. He's not going to come out there and try to play outside of his game and try to go get 40 on Dillon Brooks. Now, will he be a little bit more aggressive? Yeah. But LeBron is a different kind of cerebral player that tries to beat you in different ways. Unlike Kobe and Mike, they're going to go after your throat. They're going to tell you that from the beginning of the game, from jump ball, they're going to say much in the media, but then they're going to give you that look, when the jump ball tips off. And you better be ready for it. LeBron is a different animal. He's built differently.
Well, and I know we're kind of opening the door here, or at least I am, by going down this road. That is the argument many people have to say that LeBron isn't as good as Kobe or Jordan, because he doesn't have that gene in him, or he doesn't care to have that gene in him. And of course, that completely sidecars his greatness. But
Magic didn't have. I mean, Magic was different.
Right.
Magic didn't have that killer like that. Magic beat you all the way around, smiled at you, pat you on the butt, then drop, 18 to give you 15 assists and 10 rebounds, okay? And then he commanded and controlled the game. What's the difference there? LeBron can only be who he can be. Listen, Rich, when he was in high school, and I got a chance to follow him because he's from Ohio, he was the same player. Very easily he could have averaged 40, 45 points a game as a high school senior. okay, and dominate. But he understood at the time that in order for us to be successful, this is my personality and this is how I need to play. I give it up to my teammates. They need to be involved. So he's been that way his whole life.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why people expect him to change or want him to change or want him to be somebody different when he's not. He's LeBron James. That's his personality. That's who he is. And I judge him and I view him from that prism and not from Mike's, because Mike is different. Not from Kobe's. Kobe's is different. Allen Iverson is different. That's the uniqueness, and I think the greatness in each of these players is that they all are unique, but they all are top tier, top 15, 20, top 5 players that ever played the game with different personalities.
So then let me go in the 90 seconds I have left in this direction with you. Okay. How about because LeBron would be happy to pass it up to Rui Hachimura, for instance, to win the game and then stare at Dillon Brooks and go, see you later, son. He'd be happy to do that. Then how about Draymond getting part of that in his game, where instead of stomping on somebody, he'll go down in the moment, realizing in the moment that he can stick Sabonis with a flagrant. He'll go down, and then instead of stomping on Sabonis, he just will wink at him saying, gotcha. How about him being part? How about him having that part of his game, Jim? What about that?
Great question, and that's something that Draymond would have to answer, because after he got, in 2016 when he got suspended, he said he learned, he wants to mature, he wants to grow from that, but yet we're at this point again where he put his team at jeopardy of losing a game or a series because of his action. So at some point, the maturity level has to meet the words that you're saying. It can't digress. And we've seen it kind of close to the edge with Draymond on a couple of times, but now it hit the point where it did hurt the team. But not enough where they lost the game. So I don't know if Draymond can actually do that in regards. He's a highly intelligent player. We know that. Come on, man. Individual.
He is. I know. So
highly intelligent.
He's got that in him.
Probably one of the smartest players that played the game. But can he control the emotion at the time is the question. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
When the infraction happens to him, can he control that enough to flip that script, to force the other player to make the mistake, and then it benefits the team while he still can smile and walk away and say, like you said, gotcha.
Absolutely. I would love to see that. It would really be great to see. Jim, thanks for the time. I greatly appreciate your time, and let's do this again in short order as the playoffs progress.
I'm here for you, brother.
I appreciate that. Really, I really enjoy listening to you with Ian and whenever you do any game. Thanks for the call.
All right.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate you, my man. Have a good one. Enjoy the game.
Yes, enjoy the cigars. That's Jim Jackson right here on The Rich Eisen Show. Catch The Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.